runs to 50, little shimmy, handballs down the line. Oscar Allen can finish off a nice piece of play, and the Lions get another. They get their second. Call quickly, gave it to Will Ashcroft, who runs to about 60, over the head of Morris. So who's in the pocket that can do damage? McKenna. He kicked one earlier, he kicks on the left, and he kicks a goal. Welcome back, a second. Little kick over the top, they're queuing up. Charlie Cameron runs to about, well, top of the square. Nothing easier than that. Cameron gets another. 3 for the afternoon. Morris presents himself. Crummers have got plenty of options. Here's Bailey round the corner, low ball. Yep, they get another. They press the issue out to 35 points.
McCarthy, Berry, pinched, Ashcroft. Cameron got it from Bailey, and he puts it through. Charlie's kick 4. The back-to-back premiers look back to some of their best.
The Brisbane Lions fancast made a strategic decision on Friday, I believe it was, that we were not going to record the podcast straight after the conclusion of this week's game, and whether that was a foreboding sign that the Brisbane Lions were in for a big one, I don't know, but what we do know is your podcast is appearing in your feed a little bit later, but it is off the back of a 52-point huge win against the Crows. The Gabba was up and about with Country Roads and DJ Otzi. And look, I don't know whether this is us officially being back or just another up and down in the roller coaster that is the Brisbane Lions in season 2026 so far. But JB and Patrick are back to talk about it nonetheless, and there's all thanks to Hop On Brewery Tours, Chris Marketing, and EB by Hiker. Thanks so much for everyone that has been tuning in, not just this year, but every week over the last 3 years since we've been running. And a big shout out to everyone that's liked, subscribed, followed, checked us out at our website, brisbanelionsfancast.com.au, bought a t-shirt or sent us some money in our tip jar. And a big shout out to David, who has done just that. Thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate it. It helps keep the lights on and the show going each and every week. I went to the Gabba on Sunday. It was a bit of fun, but I must say, and I'm not proud to say it, I left a little bit early. The last quarter was a little bit, I don't want to say boring, but both teams looked like they knew exactly what was going on, and it was just a case of counting down the clock. How did you find it, Pat?
Well, firstly, I want to say I'm impressed you're not sunburnt. Because that was my first concern when I saw the state of play. Yeah. I said, oh, well, Brooksy's going to be getting absolutely blasted in the face by the sun. So good on you, but I suppose leaving early, It
doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good, I'll admit it.
I more meant you were sun smart. I gave you a window to say you were being sun smart, and you didn't take it.
By that stage, it was the sun was well and truly gone. That first 20 minutes, especially in the Anzac ceremony. Oof. Sun was out in force.
Man, dig up. I'm giving you all the opportunities and you're just not digging. Yeah, it was good. It was 3:15 graveyard shift. It was fine. It looked horrible in terms of the light and the shade and all that sort of stuff that we were kind of aforementioned, but it was a game of football. Are we back? I don't think we ever left the room. We just sort of were walking around a bit. Maybe like we go into the bathroom, come back. You're not back. You're always there. So I don't buy into that kind of, nomenclature, clickbaity nonsense that you kind of tend to come up with. So, yeah.
That's the game we're in, mate. Hey, after the Melbourne game, the post-match press conference, Fags, he didn't put it down to accuracy, but he did sort of lean to the fact that, hey, look, we were within 2 points, and if we had a kick straight, it's a different result. Now, I don't know whether it's too much to say that maybe it's lucky that we didn't pinch that game, because clearly Fags had a bee in his bonnet from last week in our defensive intent. 31 was the tackle count, and it wasn't a huge amount higher this week, to be fair, but tackles inside 50 certainly was a lot better. You could tell that the intent and the hunger was much better this week, and it definitely showed. By the time three-quarter time rolled around, we'd got 100 points on the board, and the game was well and truly done.
I don't know. I 100% agree with that. I think that he's the kind of coach that would make note of it and bring it up anyway. I also think that the kind of modern game style and the way that there's more kick mark and control being played is that games are going to trend lower in terms of tackles by nature. And that's kind of cottons on to, I think we were talking about the Easter Monday game a few episodes ago, and we just have the ability to not put ourselves in that kind of a game. We have too much control and too much ability to be able to play around that. So even though, yeah, for sure, there have been some shockers over the past couple of years where our tackle count has been really low, it's kind of probably more we're setting the trend for what the game will be. And unfortunately, when you get it wrong, you set the trend in the wrong direction. So that's probably where it happened last week. But we're pretty brutal when we want to be. Now, if you wanted a clickbaity title, have a look at those changes, baby.
That's right. Connor McKenna makes his first appearance for the Brisbane Lions this year. Darcy Fort came back in. And Jimmy Tunstall makes his way back into the side as well. Still no Sam Marshall. Zach Ostelsky obviously went out as well. Answorth went out. And obviously our calf with Jared Berry. So, yeah. Was it Bez this week? No. Was it Bez that went out last week? Jared Berry that went out?
Yeah, Jared Berry, yeah.
That's right. So those were the changes. Sam Marshall is probably the question on everyone's lips, but definitely some shuffling of the deck there.
Had a bit of chat on that on the Discord, and the only explanation I can give to that is just that perhaps, and we've probably talked about this before, but I can only assume that something is broken down in his contract renegotiation because he'll be out of contract end of this year. Whether it's that he's asking what is deemed too much for the amount of game time he'll get in his next contract, and that's maybe not happened. That's the only thing I can think about, and we're kind of freezing him out because we don't want to develop a player for another team, which is heartless but understandable. And it would be weird to do that for someone who'd been in the academy and that sort of a thing for quite a long time. But you kind of did sort of say pre-draft that you probably would have... Oh, no, you're talking about Annabelle. Sorry, my mistake. But Marshall, yeah. So you were talking about Printable versus Annabelle, and I've completely lost my mind here. So I've put things in my head that were not correct. But yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but that's the only reasonable explanation. Like, have you got any intel thoughts?
I was reading somewhere that they were going to go with a midfield largely of Neil Dunkley and Will Ashcroft this week, and that Hugh was actually going to spend a little bit more time on the wing, hence why Marshall didn't get a go. Didn't really turn out that way. Hugh still spent as much time in the middle as normal, but he's still really only playing 2.5 quarters as they sort of nurse him back from this calf, and still doesn't look anywhere near his best at this point in time. So not that I think it's a worry, it's just taking him a little bit to get back into his full stride here.
I'm okay with that, but yeah, a weird one. But you got to say, in terms of what the coaches did, in terms of bringing McKenna on to play the role that he played and then swapping Linc McCarthy to play down back, sometimes you just got to let the coaches do their thing. Yeah,
absolutely. And both those guys had a job as well. I thought Miller was still pretty good, but Kenny was really good as well.
Well, Miller had previously been probably the best halfback in the comp at times.
Close to for sure.
Probably not in every game, but he's really good in a lot of their games. And I didn't think he was particularly impactful, but at the same time, as I said last week, I'm often looking more at our blokes than theirs. And Rankin got a couple of goals off of Zach Bailey stuff in the first quarter. So, and aside from that, was largely anonymous, although Lachie Neale would argue otherwise. So those changes came in and the game started. It was pretty fiercely contested for the first 2.5 quarters. Yeah,
well, maybe not even that. I think obviously the first quarter we built a bit of a lead, but then they sort of bridged that pretty quickly, and by quarter time it was more or less even. The first 3 quarters of the second quarter, it was sort of an arm wrestle, and then we kicked a few, and then third quarter is obviously where it blew open, and then the last quarter was just a formality at that point, really. Yeah.
Which is, that'll come up, but I thought we left some chances on the field in the first quarter. There were a couple of things that went against us that, you look at the difference between Logan Morris doing a pirouette and kicking it and it being touched, and Pedler doing the same thing later on in the game and it not being touched, and just fine margins. And we could have been a lot more ahead than we were.
Deciding to play on, 5 minutes out from the goal mouth, and it was a little bit later in the game, but Bruce getting pinged for running too far that, could have ended up in a goal, maybe not. Just little things like that, but I think largely we're really nitpicking here.
Absolutely. I mean, we also got done with another advantage that just was not paid that resulted in a goal that was not. And it's like, what are you doing? The ball's been kicked 50 metres to a contest that is in our favour, and none of those players stopped. So, but the AFL is in absolute shambles at the moment. So, do we want to talk about that later? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we will. I thought one of the more pleasing things about the game is that they're big names. Like Rankin, yes, he had those 2 first quarter goals, but largely ineffectual. Rochelle, largely ineffectual. Thilthorpe, same. Tex Walker. I mean, obviously Jordan Dawson had a big game for them, and what he would have gone through to put together that game is unimaginable. And I mean, the crowd was really respectful of Jordan Dawson and his place on the field. And, as I love Jordan Dawson. He's one of my favourite players in the league. So
he's
really good to see him out there.
First name on the list in any team you would make.
That's right,
Allegedly.
And
you took Dawson, I took Dunkley, so,
can play any position, and did that across the game as well. You'd see him in the forward line, you'd see him mopping up across half-back as well, kicking goals from 60. So really good for him to get back on the park. Clearly it was affecting them. I did find it a bit strange, and maybe I'm a bit out of pocket here, that Jordan Dawson was obviously wearing the black armband, but no other Adelaide players that I could see were wearing one. And I thought, clearly they would have worn one last week, but I would have thought with their captain being back, they, a bit of a show of solidarity there. But, once again, that's probably not a problem for me to really care too much about. I just thought it was a bit strange.
It'll surprise no one that I didn't notice. So, but if you look at their across the game, Laird was their highest possession getter, and we all know how I feel about Rory Laird. If he's having all of the ball, that's fine, because he's just not very good. And Dawson was good, great game, but Rochelle was nowhere. Rankin was minimal. Tex Walker did bugger all. They just, we talked about it going into finals last year, and I picked them to go out in straight sets because they've done nothing to actually improve their squad in a tangible sense. I know Cal Archie's not there, but it has some Adelaide guys our midfield, we haven't improved it, and someone else said, well, we bought Callum Archie, and I'm like, he's not a midfielder. He plays on the wing and he's a utility. He's not a mid. They just haven't done anything with their list, and cool. Shoot yourself in the foot. You got some really good players. Really good players, and you're just not doing. You're not going to do anything with them.
The thing about Adelaide last year as well, that their back six, about midway through last year, they just really clicked and became one of the best defenses in the league. And obviously Josh Worrell has had a really interrupted preseason. Mark Keane is obviously not there as well, but Michael Annie is sort of not regressed, but hasn't necessarily taken that next step. He's one of the better small to medium-sized defenders as well. And they're just not really having the same watertight defense that they had.
Yeah, so I don't know if Curtin also not being there as well is big thing, but deal with it. We've had to.
And
sorry, they won't get much sympathy from me, man. But like, yeah, it is good to see as the kind of games are progressing. You know, the guys that you're kind of a little bit skeptical about in terms of, you know, preseason and overhang and stuff, they're starting to play a bit better. Dunkley was really good. I think
Dunkley was good.
Fletcher was good. Rayner's always going to be there or thereabouts, just doing stuff. So the team seems to be growing in a really good way. And, you know, Charlie Cameron's sneaky looking. Yeah, if he continues this form, there's no reason why he wouldn't be an All-Australian this year. So
it's unbelievable, isn't it? Complete chalk and cheese from last year. And I guess that the preseason, like, he's acknowledged that last year certainly wasn't where he wanted to be. He's put in a big preseason, and the rewards are there so far. And as you said, hopefully he can keep up that form. And I guess just the balance of the forward line. Everyone's hitting the scoreboard a little bit. You know, we're not relying on Oscar Allen to come in and make an immediate impact. Although Logan Morris isn't necessarily having to kick 3 or 4 goals every week. You know, Charlie's doing his bit. Lincoln has been doing his bit. Kai Loman's bobbing up. Zach Bailey. They're all just chipping away.
And, you know, Oscar Allen, although he went off with a little ankle sprain or whatever, he's hitting contests with much more intent. And we didn't see that in the first couple of games, and it was giving people some, you know, flashbacks to Jack Gunston and how that might have been a slightly different, you know, the wrong shape for the wrong shaped hole. I don't know. But I think that it was more of a teething issue, you know, of going like, he's not confident to do the things that we need him to do, where, you know, our style of play is much less haphazard than it probably was when Gunston was playing with us, and I think he would do much better with us now. But he's doing a lot. He's imposing himself much more in a physical sense, which I think is really good, and probably unlucky because he was, you know, had a goal chalked off because of the advantage situation, and he's just good. It's good to have him there in that sort of a sense. And across the board, you know, it's just a pretty flat, concerted effort. Everyone's kind of playing it the same, with a couple of exceptions. You know, Neil goes and has 42.
Yeah. Ashcroft, another huge game as well. Zach Bailey, 29 and 3. Like, the midfield was clearly just stepped right up, and I think it's a bit of a criticism for Adelaide fans for the Crows is like their midfield. You know, Berry's probably becoming not the number one midfielder at the moment, but he's in every centre bounce. You know, they didn't put Rankin in there quite as much. Rochelle not quite as much.
Like, they're missing Saligo, sure.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think Sam Berry last year in finals, you know, I like Sam Berry. I think he's a really hard-working midfielder, but it's just like, are you going to win a premiership with him? I don't think you are. Like, he's someone that when you get to the level that we are at, if we had Sam Berry in our team instead of Dunkley, we would be carrying Sam Berry. And he's carrying their midfield. Like, it's a very perplexing list management ting. So, speaking of ting, Connor McKenna, couple of goals.
2 left foot goals.
He nearly had a third too.
He did. He really did.
But he went to Millera. Lincoln McCarthy was put back on Rankin, and they got the matchups perfect. Yeah. Even the defensive ones, you know, where their talls, you know, Harrison, Thrillthorpe, and Tex and the prototype kind of went at it a fair bit with Froggy chopping out. Like, they just got everything pretty much perfect. And when the game was on the line, they'd kicked, 46 points or something? And then we just let them have, 5 goals. Who cares? That game was done. Yeah. So it was really good. And did you notice so Dawson was dropping back as their spare, you know, in the sort of the latter part of the quarters, you know, as their spare. And he did that in the third quarter. And the flexibility to go, hey, you know what? You can do that. We're going to put fucking Draper on your spare and set play it by just tap the ball back and bomb the ball straight to him.
Yeah.
Horrible kicking action though on Draper, like all kicking, not just do what you want kicking for goal, but it's like he throws the ball up and goes for it. It's amazing. So yeah, look for that one as a sneaky little equaliser if we're chasing a goal in the the back end of quarters. I think that's a set play that we'll go back to the Huel with.
I thought it was a bit interesting that in the ruck battle, God, like Lachlan McAndrew out of nowhere, like really good underrated ruckman that, like I'm not sure where they've plucked him from, but he was toweling Draper up, and as the game progressed, Sam Draper didn't really attend too many more centre bounces, and 40 was left to be the number one ruck for a good portion of the back half, and equalised a little bit, but geez, they found someone there, haven't they?
Yeah, I did notice there were quite a lot of ruck infringements for like going over the centre line, and I don't understand what that means. I functionally understand what it means, but like it happened 6 or 7 times, and it's just like, what? If you throw the ball and like I don't know, but yes, he's a good ruckman. He seems to be a good modern ruckman. It will be interesting to see how it continues to go, because he's the kind of guy that you can build your midfield around. So do it, but also don't do it this year because I want to win the premiership. So stay in your lane, Knicks.
Gallop, another game down back, and he's just getting better each and every week, isn't he?
Absolutely. It's his best game, which after his best game that was probably last week, and then the knock-on effects. So we're saying the same thing, but can he get a Rising Star nomination?
I think
should he? I think he should, but it's a good backline to be put into at this point in time. And Fag spoke after he mentioned him. I think he gave him a coach's vote as well, and just the idea of wanting someone with a bit more discipline in Linc McCarthy being down there to kind of be that eye in the storm, to sort of have the rebounders ahead of him and then the matchups behind, and he's always underrated in the air, Linc McCarthy, and always a hard tackler. So the perfect kind of role, and he grew into the game. So it was really good to see, and it's nice to have him there because I think he commands an element and a level of authority around him that's probably not remembered. I think
definitely.
He's one of the ones that it's bedlam going around, and he's just like, I know what I'm doing. And I think it'll be good for his ball use as well going forward, because if he's probably not as ambitious, but he wasn't playing the Zorko role, he was playing the Answorth role. So there
was one kick in maybe the second quarter, and I can't remember who it was to, but it was like he's gone to the middle of the ground basically on the 50, and it's a 3-on-1, and just left it hanging that little bit, and you could see all the Adelaide Crows just swarm in. You're like, oh God. Thankfully, managed to hold on to the mark, but geez, that was dicey for a second there.
I think on commentary it was like, hey, he's found himself down back today. He normally plays more forward, and then just swarmed. So it wasn't a bad commentary team on Fox Footy. We had Hudson, which I know you quite like Hudson.
Your mate Nick
Del Santo, who he's good at he's good at talking to the lowest common denominator. Poor Nick Dal. And then we had Dicko. So it was largely fine. There was no one that was annoying, so that's good.
Question for you, still going back to Ty Gallop there. When Darcy Gardner is available again, and he will be in 5 weeks, whatever, do you bring him back in and throw Ty Gallop back down forward, or is he now back down the pecking order and we persevere with Ty Gallop as a key defender?
Well, what did I say a couple of weeks ago? I said the person most at risk is the person not in the team.
Yep.
So I don't think so. And I think I forecast this when he initially got thrown down back, that if it worked and if it was down there, then players would have to play their way back in. The way the back line is functioning, I don't know if a returning to match fitness Jack Payne gets in at this point in time. Like, you would need to show a body of work, whether it's in the preseason or whether it's in the twos, to warrant being back in the team. So I'm going to stand by whoever's not in the team is most at risk of not being in the team, providing they don't fulfill a very specific role that no one else sort of does, like a Jared Berry.
I think it will become a horses for courses type situation. Like we saw what Darcy Gardner was able to do in the grand final last year when he, played a role on Jeremy Cameron and Paddy Dangerfield as well. So we know years of being experienced and very diligent down back is going to come into play at some point. And maybe he'll get found out, Ty Gallop a little bit, just like Jack Payne did in his first handful of games. He got found out a lot.
But the beauty of these slightly older players that have done this and have played their role is that you can look at it and go, well, he came in on the back of Jack Payne being out, I think, a few years ago to play Carlton in the prelim. And he just went in and Kerner kicked one goal or something, and it was like he absolutely all over him. So Gardner's the kind of person that on very low kind of first team minutes, he can just get in there. He hits the ground running really quick. And he's good to go. So not a problem. It's not a problem. Not saying that you are saying it is a problem, but...
No, it's definitely not a problem. I guess it's just a query. And then, as we've spoken about, it does open up the door for Eric Hipwood if and when he comes back into the team later on as well, and what that might look like. So
he's bloody straight to the top of the pops, Eric Hipwood. First name on the team list.
Despite the fact that he's at risk of not being in the team.
Yeah, clip it. It's funny. So, also, save your questions for question time.
Yeah, fair enough. Hey, I think I'm with you now on goal songs. I think I'm done with goal songs. And I've come
apparently so is Charlie Cameron.
Sunday was the most glaring example of the crowd and maybe it was the nature of the game and of it being sort of done reasonably early on, but the crowd just didn't know when to interact unless it was a goal song. And there was a couple of times at the Gabba where like there was silence, not silence, but like not real any atmosphere, and then on the scoreboard would come like a big roar, like line roar sound effect and like make some noise. It's like we've never had that before, like encouragement to make noise, because the crowd's just conditioned to make the noise when the songs are playing.
You know that there's a psychological thesis about this called Pavlov's bell. And
yes,
over these years, albeit very good years, we are conditioning people with Pavlov's bell.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say about it, because I'm not really... Although that said, I was keeping count of post-Country Roads, the centre clearance numbers.
Ah, yes.
We lost the first two directly after. The third one we won. And then the fourth one I called a 0-0 draw, because I think they technically won the clearance, but it got turned over, and I don't actually understand which one is the clearance. Is it the first handball or the first big kick?
Yeah.
I think it probably should be the first big kick. But yeah, there's been a little bit of chatter about that based on what Charlie Cameron said after the game, where he thinks Country Roads has run its course.
I don't know whether he was serious or it was tongue-in-cheek.
I didn't see the interview, so I wasn't watching on 7, so I didn't see his interview with Aaron Phillips. But could be tongue-in-cheek. It's not for me, and it's for some people. But yep, that's it.
I still understand it, and I do, especially in the Queensland market. So it does work for Brisbane and Brisbane audience, if you will. But I guess, me being a footy tragic, I am starting to see that maybe it's not for me anymore. But maybe that's just me being grumpy and old. I don't know.
We are grumpy and old. And the thing one of the points that I made is just that whenever they show the crowd when it's happening, it's like, and I used I said about 5% of the people on the camera are singing. And that 5% of the crowd, if they're singing, sing loud when they do, but it's not to pretend if it was legitimately 32,000 people singing like it is said that it is, it would be absolutely deafening, because I've heard the Gabba at 27,000 in a final be absolutely deafening, so much so that it ranks in my top three crowd volumes in life.
Sure.
Up there with the 2003 New Zealand versus Tonga, sorry, not Songa. Songa was a tennis player. Tonga group match when they did the haka and the sippy tau at the same time. Deafening. And then the 2023 grand final against Collingwood was loud. And then Brisbane against Carlton in the 2009 elimination final, the Daniel Bradshaw game. The three loudest crowds I've ever experienced. So it can be loud, the Gabba. But, vocal minorities are what the world is at the moment. So let's not get political.
Check out the best breweries across Brisbane and the Gold Coast with Hop On Brewery Tours. Book a half or full day tour at hoponbrewerytours.com.au. All right, votes for hoponbrewerytours.com.au. I'm going to let you go first on this one because I've left out some people that definitely deserve votes.
No, man. I'm giving Charlie Cameron the 3 votes. And I hope you give Lachie Neale the 3 votes, because I don't think you are you?
I'll let you do your votes first.
I'm giving Linc McCarthy 2. And I'm giving Gallop 1.
Oh my God. Our votes are exactly the same. Lachie Neale, Will Ashcroft, Bailey, Dunkley, all extremely stiff to miss out on votes, I've gone the exact same here.
Bailey gets 3 votes for the second half and -3 for the first half. So you can't vote based on his schizophrenic nonsense. Sorry. But, we didn't plan this.
I really thought I was going left field with those votes this week because I thought, surely. And Lachie Neale was unbelievably stiff. 42 touches.
You can't postmodern me, man.
Yeah, Bailey dominated. Bailey topped the clearances. But yeah, I thought, for the reasons we've already spoken, Charlie Cameron's in not quite career best form, but
it feels like career best form based on what we've seen over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
It's a return to the hunger, and boy, he's regained a yard or two of pace.
Has he what?
To see him run out the back a couple of times, take some bounces at full flight, and just the little finger guns, it's good. I like it.
As we've spoken about, Ty Gallop's best game for the year so far, especially in defence. And the role that Linc played on Isaac Rankin was, aside from those 2 early goals where he got done for a bit of pace and the first goals, Bailey was on him and Bailey pushed it. So I understand when you're at stoppage and you go, okay, you can push the player into the contest to push them into congestion because they can't get out. 2 people were culpable at that first stoppage. So I think it was the second goal. Pedler got away with the first one. Pedler's a good player. I like him. I like
the second goal. Yeah. It's like you don't push your player into the contest if you're also pushing him directly goal side into a channel that Levi Ashcroft is like, I could be here, but I'm going to stand 1 metre here and create the fucking Suez Canal for Rankin to just run through. So it was a breakdown on all fronts, and Bailey was really lazy in the first quarter. There were sort of 3 or 4 efforts he gave up on. He got done holding the ball, and you're sitting there going like, what's this guy doing? And then he just comes to life, and you're like, he's happy with his buddies. You're like, well, are they people annoyed at him because of the contracts? It's so baffling. It's so baffling.
He definitely put in for the job interview though after half time. He was really good, and compared to last week as well, not just him but our set shots were much better as well from basically everyone.
Until someone on the in-game chat said like, we may never miss again, and then we missed like 4 in a row, and it was like, dude, shut the hell up. What do you got to do that for? And then the Fortress remembered how to kick, so that was good.
Here's one for you. The 2's got That was bad.
Poleaxe, man. They got
I don't know if you
poleaxed.
saw any of that. That was no good. And, you know, stocks are thin, and some of the more senior players got called up to the AFL as well. Tunstall, McKenna, Zakostelski was on management. Yeah,
Zizi and Joyce, I think, were on reduced minutes just in case as well.
Yeah. So they were low on numbers, but yeah, that was pretty bad.
Surprised you didn't get a call up, mate.
They got done by Port Melbourne reasonably comprehensively, so no good. They've got a reasonably winnable game against Coburg next week, so we'll see how that unfolds. Any changes you're going to make for this game against the Dons?
I haven't quite thought this far ahead, have I? How funny is Jimmy Tunstall? Everyone seems to really like him, like in the team. No one outside the team likes him, but I thought he got 17 disposals.
Did some good things.
I like him. For those of you who may be new, years ago, I wrote his name down in my little notebook, and I did it with like an E with the little dash over the top. And he forever became Tunstile because he's
That's
apparently, yeah. My phone now autocorrects Tunstall to that. So that's the world that I live. This fictional reality is what I live in. But I thought that was probably his best game that he's played.
Yeah, he did some nice things.
It was perfectly serviceable. I think he got 17 disposals. Did some stuff. I thought, Brucey was a bit low.
Like 1% things that he's doing that I quite like.
You can tell because early on he got the ball up on centre wing, would have been on your side, and he got the ball and he just froze, and you can just tell that that's someone who isn't used to playing in the team where you go, we'll kick the ball there and then you got to kick it here, because there were about 3 options he didn't go for, and then afterwards you know down the line, which is fine at that point in the game and fine given the stocks we have currently ahead of the ball. So I don't know if he stays in the team, but Berry's still out. Zorko is apparently going to be available. Answorth is apparently going to be available.
Yeah, Zorko looked like he was training with the team. I think they uploaded some videos of captains run and stuff, and he was running around doing drills, so he might be good to go, but probably don't need to rush him. Answorth, second concussion as well. They might be a little bit cautious. They might roll with the same team, but they might.
I mean,
make
McKenna would be out for bloody blood against Essendon.
I don't
twist
know.
the knife a little bit.
Ill will.
No, he does, because he got called out for being patient zero. He was all. I mean, I think that was more about the AFL in general, but
yeah,
put as many Essendon blokes. Bring Joe Danaher back for the game.
It'd be a bit funny. Sam Draper coming up against his old mob as well.
I'm looking forward to it.
I think he'll have fun with that.
I think he will too. Him and 2 Meter Peter, like Battle of the Colossi.
Yeah. Do you reckon they're going to bring in Answorth or Zorko?
They could, they couldn't. I can't make sense of most of these kind of changes because I wouldn't have thought McKenna would come in and play a job on Miller. That sounds insane. And he did. So I'm just going to say, I like the idea of not changing the team for the sake of having no changes, because I think it can rattle a team, an opposition. So I'll say no changes, and there'll probably be 3.
Yeah, I'm inclined for no changes as well, and give both of those guys an extra week. Because let's be honest, we're coming up against Essendon that on paper should be a winnable match. So
put us down for a 12-point win.
Well, that's what sort of happened last year as well. We only just got over the line. They really pushed us. So they're going to be hurting after Anzac Day as well. So they're going to want to prove a bit of a point here. But we're going to want to consolidate our spot in the top 5 now. Just like that.
6. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and anyone that thinks that we're not serious business, you look at people's seedings, and I don't know. It's like anyone that doesn't have us in the top 4 is out of their mind.
There's some good teams out there, though. Hawthorn City
are, but
probably
we're still by far the best. It was weird to hear Hutto say, This is, I think, the only thing I took exception to. He said something like, oh, the Lions' best is still probably the best. And it's like, probably. We've won the last 2 premierships. It's clearly the best. Like, I get you, Geelong. Go beat Port Adelaide, mate.
Well, suddenly Port Adelaide, they pushed Hawthorn right to the end there, and now they did a number on the Cats. So,
well, they should be better than what they've got, because if you look at their team, it's like you've got Aaliyah, he's really good. You've got Butters and the Hornet and
Georgiadis.
No, well, I'm going up the field.
Burgerface.
And then they've got Burgerface, Georgiadis, who's just like, man, I will take every mark. And I get Blitzars went down and, Dangerfield did SFA. But, yeah, Vicentini looked all right. They're probably going to tip him.
How about bloody Jordan Sweet's a couple of side steps and then that absolute bullet pass inside 50? Did you see that?
I didn't.
Not something a ruckman should be doing. It was crazy
Maybe
work.
KO cut to a in-game ad break like they did in the Hawthorn and Gold Coast game. Did you see that?
Wasn't that something fun? Yeah. And it wasn't just like an ad break. It was like a full, half-time ad break.
I lodged a complaint. I think everyone should lodge a complaint because that's against consumer law. You can't do that.
Get him.
Absolutely get him, I reckon, because they don't deserve any of my dimes. They're getting them. But, make it as difficult as possible, I think. Anyway, we've gone absolutely off the rails yet.
Chris Marketing are your outsourced marketing managers. From social media and newsletters to design and websites, they handle it all, so you can stay focused on your business. crispcoms.co. All right, well, let's get to some Chris Marketing questions, and there's a couple here in the Discord. I'm going to read in real time for the first time as we go here. So
you didn't solicit for these, I did.
No, you did, yeah. I didn't think about it today.
I solicited and then I got out.
Lovely. Madline, thoughts on Oscar, Allen and Draper so far? How much do we embarrass Essendon and how we have succeeded with players trying to get out of that club? Sure, I'm going to leave that last bit there, but I think both of those guys are working their way into the seasons really, really well.
I reckon it's a collective 3.5 thumbs up out of 4. Like if it was two sets of hands, so one of them's like this, I don't know what would make it 4 out of 4. Maybe not seeing him hobbling off.
Sam Draper could kick.
Yeah, and if he didn't start the season with stress response or whatever it is, anaphylaxis.
All right, here we go. What are your thoughts on the idea that we don't rely on one forward? Charlie is back this week. Loman's putting in the work. Few set shots let us down. It's better to have overall talent, maybe certain players taking the game. And where do you see Hipwood fitting back into the team if and when he's available?
Well, thankfully for the listeners, I don't have my calculator with me to perform a certain exercise that I've been known to perform. I've moved house, so I don't know where it is. But I'm very much an advocate for multiple goal scorers and different avenues towards goal because I think it's much healthier, it's much more sustainable. And where Hipwood fits back in, it's wherever he fits in at the time he is back and ready to play.
I think.
Also, I do like embarrassing Essendon to go back to Madline. Embarrassing Essendon's fitness crew is good and never won't be good.
Definitely. I think Fagan's experience at Hawthorn has really boded well for us now. We know what happened when they lost Buddy Franklin and they were able to go to Roughhead and those small forwards granted they had a pretty good small forward
and
crew.
Gunston
Yeah, they had Gunston, they had Cyril Rioli, they had Piopolo and Bruce, so they had a pretty dangerous forward line themselves. Yep.
Yeah, that's all right.
I think we've sort of found ourselves in a very similar position here. So, not having to rely on, one key forward to do all the work is certainly a great problem to have. The next one from Sean. Are we concerned that we didn't completely bury them in the last quarter? Bit of a familiar scene, letting teams off the hook when we could be banking much needed percentage points.
Nah, percentage is overrated. because we don't care where we finish. We just give us a draw and make it entirely inconsequential. It's a good read, and I don't think it really mattered, and I don't think it's really mattered often enough for it to be considered a systemic thing or like a trend. Because, yeah, we've made things slightly more difficult than they should be in games against, Melbourne or lesser teams and that sort of a thing. But when it comes to the crunch, we're normally pretty good. So it doesn't bother me, did it? I mean, it obviously didn't bother you because you didn't stick around.
Well, that's it. I think considering the start to the year we've had and the injuries we've had, to be able to just sort of sit in second gear for a quarter and just manage our way through the game, I'm pretty happy with that. Like that, we proved whatever we needed to prove. The game was done. We put them to the sword, and yeah, they needed to kick 10 unanswered goals in the last quarter if there were any chance of getting in touch. Considering they kicked 7 for the match at that point, it was not never going to happen, but very, very highly unlikely. And Adelaide has been a slow starting team and has finished fairly strongly, so it wasn't completely impossible, but we would have to do a whole lot wrong if that was going to be the case. So to be able to just manage our guys, yeah.
I think if you asked Harris Andrews this question, he'd be different.
You think?
He would hate it. He'd be like, any goal kicked on me is a personal affront, and I do not want to deal with it.
Yeah, fair enough there as well. And on the flip side, Adelaide didn't play Tex Walker for the whole last quarter because they're preparing for a showdown, and they knew they were done as well. So
I think everyone just agreed to be like, we'll keep things cordial.
And that seems to be it for the Chris Marketing questions. Don't forget, Chris Marketing can do all of your marketing if you're in business, if you've got a podcast, if you need help with your website or social media. Abby and the team there will absolutely do a fantastic job. And they're giving you free Brisbane Lions Fancast stickers. They're available at our website, brisbanelionsfancast.com.au.
Beautifully done.
Let's go to some tipping, shall we?
EB by Hiker is your home for away games. Live footy on the big screen, good beers, good food, good vibes. 65 Manila Street, East Brisbane.
Oh, shall we?
Yeah, I know you're excited for this one because the weekly winner of our tipping competition, thanks to EB by Hiker, is none other than Patrick, who's got himself 8 tips. And
Bill, a bit disappointed you did the zoomed-in camera. You missed the double Cobras. You missed it all the celebration and the...
Well, you've won yourself 300 waypoints, mate. That's good for a free pint at EB by Hiker. And don't forget game day packages. There will be one available for this week as we take on Essendon. That will start just after 12 o'clock this Saturday. Book your tickets for this game day package, $70 at ebbyhiker.com to use the code word LionsFancast26. 3 hours worth of drinks and a main meal from the kitchen, of course. Big footy on the big screen.
That's... can I pass that on to anybody?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because as someone that isn't in Brisbane and also doesn't drink, not the most personal of weekly prizes, but I'm in it for the clout. So whoever came second can have that one. So
all right, keep your eyes peeled on our socials. Just search for BL Fancast and we'll announce a winner for that one. And a big shout out to Nathan as well, who won last week. All right, our first game, Thursday night, Collingwood.
Jeez, you're really not letting me milk this, are you? I was going to tell the story of how I woke up on Saturday, changed my tip from Gold Coast to Hawthorn, changed my tip from Essendon to Collingwood. I ballooned the margin out for the... You're just going on with the tips, aren't you?
Yeah, I reckon Hawthorn's going to win this one by 6 goals.
Yeah, I reckon they're going to win by a bit. I'm going to go 13.
Anthony Hudson, 13.
Sorry?
13.
Yeah, 13.
Okay. Dogs and Freo. Dogs are in a world of hurt at the moment, are they?
They're in all sorts of strife. The Dockers will win this one and will win comfortably.
Showdown.
Hamburger Man's going to kick 7.
Yeah, he might kick a few, mightn't he? Are you tipping Port?
Yep.
I am tipping the Crows in this one, but I might change that one. Port are looking fun and dangerous.
Fun and dangerous.
We'll beat Essendon.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, that we're playing in Marvel, I think is good. bodes well for us. We tend to play well in Marvel. Look at that. 98% view that to be the way that it is. There's not a more one-sided tip to be had.
Here's one for you. West Coast and Richmond at Optus.
I think Richmond are due, but I'm not tipping them.
Yeah.
Tom Lynch might be back, but I just can't see it happening.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, isn't it?
Eagles might be my gauntlet here. Might as well just get out of the gauntlet while it's hot.
Cats are going to bounce back, you'd have to think, at home as well. They're going to get a rocket from Scotty.
Yeah. I think North Melbourne will get the lesson that I thought we'd give them. You can see it be a bit of a belting.
St Kilda, fresh off their 100-point
win.
victory. Yeah, that's crazy.
Did you see the thing that was like the West Coast have copped, 900-point losses since 2024 or something, and the rest of the competition have copped 7?
Yeah.
What a shithole of a club.
It's not good, is it?
It's awful, but they're also rich. This is where corporate greed gets you. They're all full-bellied and rich. The team play pathetic football.
All right, Sydney
we
to
had
beat
Adam
Melbourne.
Simpson on commentary. Had Adam Simpson on commentary as well. He was good too.
I like Sydney.
Yeah. Sydney and Gold Coast.
Yeah. In the expansion cup there to finish things off.
Yeah, Simo also said something kind of strange on commentary. I like Simo too, but he said something along the lines of like, I don't know how people can like nurse their way through seasons and, peak at the right times. He's like, I just want to win every game and play the best team. It's like, it's because your team was shit for like the last 5 years and you forgot what winning was after you won that premiership. And you just kind of lucked your way into that, mate. Like, come on, Simo, sort it out. It's not that hard. What do we got?
Well, now we've got our game for this week. And it is another edition of one we had a couple of weeks ago of how many people wore that number and who wore it this week. Number 1, we've had 8 players for the Brisbane Lions don the number 1 on their jumper. Can you tell me all 8 of them?
Is it a reasonable feat to get all 8?
No. There's no like Tom Logans in this one.
Okay, cool. So let's go. I'm not going to go chronologically, but I'll try. So we'll go British champion.
Yeah, good shout.
You need to give me a bit more feedback.
Yeah,
not just,
British champion. Well done.
Des Headland.
Congratulations, Patrick. Des Headland. Well done.
Des Headland. Chronologically is going to struggle here.
That's
but
fun.
Blake Caracella.
Well done.
Then after him, we hit the twilight zone of Lions-ness. Was Mitch Clark a number 1?
Mitch Clark was number 1.
And then we've got Ben Keys.
Ben Keys is in there.
Kai Lohman.
You're missing 2 people in between Mitch Clark and Ben Keys.
I knew that was the case.
Yeah.
Thanks for rubbing it in.
That's the hole there.
This is my kryptonite. This period of time. Who the?
One of these people has been not in the news lately, but this year, despite being recently retired, has been in the news for some things he may have said.
Right. May have said.
Did
like
say.
Ackermanis didn't wear number 1.
Part of the Go Home 5.
Oh. Right. Well, there's only 5 of them, so it's got to be one of these knobs, isn't it? Let me have a think on them. So who were the Go Home 5? It was Polek. It was Carnesis. Yo. Doherty. Did Doherty wear number 1?
Sam Doherty wore number 1.
What was he in the press for?
The comments he made on Dan Does Footy podcast and being
that was months
overly
ago,
honest
yeah.
with Carlton, yeah.
Now this last fella, is he in between Doherty and
He's
Keys?
in between Doherty and Keys, yeah.
Who the flipping hell was that? Oh,
This was always going to be the hardest one.
I'm like, I think it's Pierce Hanley, but I don't think it's Pierce Hanley.
No, he was number 11.
Yeah, well, that's 2-1, so partial credit. How refreshed am I? Pepsi. Any more information? Did he play for more than one club?
Yes, 2-club player, and played just during the years of shit where...
What other club did he go for?
Richmond. No, he came from Richmond to us. It's not Andrew Rains.
Eamon Buchanan?
No, he was Sydney.
He was a St Kilda guy, wasn't he?
No, he's Sydney.
Oh,
could have played both.
Richmond. Who the hell do we get from
Largely
Richmond?
forgettable operator.
Oh, I'm not surprised. Like, I don't know, hit me. What do we got?
Luke McGuan is our last number 1.
I've never seen him so upset or ever before.
Luke McGuan. There you go. 2013, 2014 maybe.
How's about giving Sam Doherty number 1 and then him fucking off to Carlton?
Yep.
Sucked in. You lost in a prelim final against us.
Rough.
I'm not
Come
bitter.
back from a knee too.
Yeah. Yeah, true. I forgot about
that. Okay, that leaves us with a cheeky little Essendon preview here, and fair to say their year is not going well as any of their years really.
That's basically a pretty fair assessment of the last 25 years of being an Essendon Bomber.
They got some good young players though. I mean, Archie Roberts is obviously very good. Caddy and Kako we know all about, and you know Caddy obviously kicked that ridiculous goal against us last year. They got a couple of others that are thereabouts, but yeah, it's tough to make a case for them, isn't it?
I mean, just when you got guys like Jade Gresham running around, it's like, what are you actually doing?
Well, he got dropped last week.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm not surprised. Poor Jackson Pryor. Yeah, there's not a lot going on there. Ben Mackay, I don't know if you saw it, Kane Corns, about the Mackay twins, that just they can't keep their feet ever.
Yes.
It's so absolutely correct. They just... Speaking of hitting the deck, whenever the umpires get, like, clipped, and Miller got a fine for hitting the umpire or clipping the umpire, they fold like an absolute deck of cards anytime they get nicked. They're like the referees in the wrestling. Like, they'll cop a stray elbow and be on the ground for 15 years. Essendon, terrible. Built like umpires.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, Andrew McGrath, he might go to Charlie Cameron again. He's done a reasonable job on him in the past.
I am loath to say that I just don't care about Essendon enough to even warrant watching their games more than a quarter of attention in the whole year, which is a terrible thing to say as someone that covers the football recreationally, albeit. They're just dull. And there's nothing that makes me want to watch them for other than Caddy, and even then I kind of like, okay, cool. Like, they don't have the talent to get the ball to him enough for it to be interesting. They're just awful. Awful. Maybe Devon Smith will return and play for them.
Well, you've certainly done enough to make sure that they're going to show up now, because anytime you badmouth someone, they come out and come out firing, and you've just absolutely shat on their organisation, so they're going to come out with a point to prove.
Kevin Sheedy will come out with a Kalashnikov.
Oh, God. Don't talk to me about Kevin Sheedy.
Why? That makes me want to talk to you about Kevin Sheedy.
He's just so irritating. He's just, I don't know, the guy that always pops up has to have an opinion on things. And it's like, mate, you're 400 years old and you've been out of the game for a long time. Just, we get it. You did a lot of good for the game, but time to leave now. And I'm sure people say that about Lee Matthews too.
Yeah, but at least Lee Matthews is still like cool in the way that like he has a mustache.
That's all it takes, is it?
Depends on who you are. But if you're Lee Matthews and you got a mustache, you're still cool.
Fair shout.
If you're David King and you grow a mustache, not cool. Although you'd love that, wouldn't you?
I would actually, yeah.
How long have we... It took 67 minutes before I got a David King dig at you this week, so consider yourself lucky.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. All right, don't forget to book your game day package at ebbyhiker.com.au and watch the game. Brisbane Essendon at ebbyhiker, $70. Use the code word LionsFancast26.
Yeah, I was going to say the first person to ask gets a free pint on me, but we also promised it to the guy that came second, so ignore me. Now, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How good's the Arc?
Not good. Not good at all.
Thoughts?
Well, yeah. Yep, they've had to come out again. Swanee is finding out pretty quickly just exactly what this job entails, just answering to people going, fix this and fix it now. And a lot of those people are Jared Waitley.
Yeah, but Jared Waitley is... The Arc is the one thing that he's not... Like, he's the most company man outside of the AFL, in my opinion. Jared Waitley's had a massive fall from grace, in my opinion, where he is so parroting of all of the bits and pieces of the mass media, and the Arc is the only thing that he seems to not love, which stands at contrast with the rest of his kind of ideology about the football. Also, rocks a tuna sandwich in the booth, enclosed space with people. That's
reprehensible.
As you would say, that is no bueno. That would be a swift punch to the beak, and man, has he got one. So, yeah, Jared Waitley, he has a lot to say about things, and he has a lot to say that mirror what the AFL says. So I don't know, might be a bit rich coming from me. But yeah, Swanee, yes. Yeah, he's not having a great time with it. I mean, they were both bad, obviously. Like, they were bad because Griffin Logue touched the ball. That's the bad bit. The other one was bad because it took 700 years. So do they wipe the stat sheet clean from what happened in that minute?
I guess so. I don't know.
Because I thought they couldn't dial the clock back fucking 3 seconds, but they can then take away all the stats from all the boffins and nerds. And I do, I guess I do think that he marked the ball, but I think that there's compelling evidence to suggest that he didn't. But I think he touches it, and then there's 3 frames. So the first and third frame look identical, which is where the ball is kind of on the line, and the middle frame is where it's over the line. So when they're rock and rolling it back and forward, it's like he marked it, it went over, then it went back. But like, I thought he marked the ball, and I thought that it was the right decision, but you can't make the right decision later, because where does that leave anything? Like, isn't it supposed to be done when the ball's traveling to the... Well, I suppose it was a kick in. I don't fucking know. It's bad.
It is bad.
It's bad. Like, that didn't matter because of a 100-point win, but the other one they lost by, 7 points?
Yeah. Yep.
How do they fix it? You're the
More
Jared
money, I guess.
Waitley of the two of us.
I've got no idea. This is really not my pet project in the same way it is for a lot of people.
What, fixing the AFL or
Fixing
having
the
opinions about the AFL? Okay. Yeah, I mean, better cameras and...
Yeah, start there. Start with better cameras.
I mean, the way that I would look at it is I go, better cameras, you're laughing. Get those, like... I'm sure I've mentioned it before, but, like, they brought him to the Australian Open one time, and you could see people's, like, calf muscles, like, deforming as they were, like, hitting the tennis ball. It was grotesque. This is in about 2003 or something like that. So they exist. Use them. And the other thing for me is just like, fix the last disposal thing. Make it the way the Sandful is. It works. Everyone likes it there. But now they're like, nah, well... And you can see players, they try to... Like, Ben Keys tried to, like, handball the ball into someone's foot, and it's like... Fuck off. Nah. Like, just... When in doubt, throw the ball in. You don't need to have a conference meeting to be like, did it nick this guy's shin and then ricochet onto the... Like, just throw the ball in, get the game going. It's like... It's... anathema of what it should... Don't know.
Well, before Patrick gets too upset, let's call it and see you next week, I reckon.